Welcome back, everyone. Big stuff is coming to the channel. If this is your first video of mine, a very weird place to start, but I'm the Bedluck Gamer, and I've dedicated myself to creating interesting and fun tabletop content to bring tabletop to as many people as possible. There's so many people out there who don't really understand the magic that is TTRPGs, and there's even people who play TTRPGs who haven't really gotten the full potential of the hobby. And I have finally come to a clear vision of what I want to do for the channel. I have some really good ideas that I'm going to be testing in upcoming videos to see how they work. And more importantly, I'm looking for help. Before I start on any of that, though, you guys can support me right now by just subscribing and liking the video. That's it. It costs you no money and it means a lot. Unfortunately, visibility is a very important thing on YouTube, and every subscribe, every like, every bit of interaction the video gets helps an immense amount. What I'm about to ask you all for is not something I take very lightly, and has been something that I've not been very confident in asking for up until this point. I have started a Patreon, and this Patreon is 100% only going to be funding the videos that will be coming out here on the channel. And I want to explain to you all what it is exactly that these funds are going to be going to. If you choose to support on the Patreon, or even if you decide to become a member of the channel, every dollar goes towards the production of new types of videos. In fact, I have a list of videos I'm currently planning to make, but as it currently stands, I don't have the proper funds to fully realize the vision. First and foremost, I want to talk about my cinematic player builds, or my cinematic build videos, rather. And what it is a cinematic rendition of a build video that not only gives you the information on how to make the build work, but gives you a cinematic view of how the build will work in the whatever TTRPG game you plan to implement it on. It's something that I want to get art for. I would like to get like animated art if I could, rather than just stills. Probably a mix of stills and animated art. Maybe some music to go with it, sound effects, editing effects, all that kind of stuff. And, it's told from the perspective of the character. They're not going to be needlessly long, and I feel like even this will not be longer than my standard method of making videos. And of course, I'll explain how the video works, or how the build works in the video. But I want to create a version of a very visual representation of what the build should look like and what it does. I think, and not just for like Pathfinder, for instance, but also for other tabletop games as well. I feel like this method, more than anything, creates hype, inspiration, and interest in the build, and of course, in the game the build is for. And I feel like videos of this kind of design will appeal to more people than just people who are already very deep in the TTRPG scene. Any kind of video that can inspire people to play the game, to make a character like the build, essentially, is the kind of content I want to make. Your funds will be going to mostly the arts. I'm not a gifted artist, and it would take a very long time for me to become a gifted artist, and even then it would be so much work for me to not only, write a script, voiceover, and present the build, and also edit the video and all kinds of stuff and draw the art. It would just be a lot. So, funds will be going to the arts and to possible voiceovers to give each build their own kind of unique flair. So, hiring voice actors is something that will come at a later point. A lot of it will be just voiced by me. And that's something to remember with any of these things that I'm offering. is I'm going to be doing my best to bring this to you all with whatever I have available. So the videos will progressively get better as more funds come to the channel, whether it's through ad revenue, whether it's through, Patreon or what have you. All the funds on Patreon will be going just to improving the quality of the videos. The next idea I have, or not idea, but the next thing I plan to make is a improvement to our live plays. We've gotten plenty of criticisms about our live plays, and the live plays on the channel up to this point have only been for the pure purpose of allowing people to see how we play the game, to kind of put our money where our mouth is, in a sense. And I want to improve that experience. I want to make the live plays more interesting. So, what I intend to do is overall improve the live play experience. And what I mean by that is we're going to take time to actually work on like making the games more interesting. I have some homebrew stuff that I'm planning on throwing in that rewards players for doing more narrative or cinematic actions. And hopefully that overall improves the watchability. Not only that, but the more cinematic moments we have, the easier it is to clip, which also helps the channel by creating shorts and TikToks and all that kind of stuff as well. And in addition, I would like to cut the live plays down as much as possible to give you the most streamlined, most interesting view into the live play experience, plus provide for the viewers interesting overlays that highlight character art and what's going on in a scene, maybe recaps on information of what's currently happening, or just like a loose representation of character stats on screen. Just a lot of stuff to overall amplify the viewing experience of a live play, since I know live plays are something that are just hard to watch. Even though I know many people are interested in it, they're always just a big time sink. So we plan to make the live play experience better, and whatever you donate to the Patreon will hopefully be going towards character art, so that we have, better representations of our characters on screen, probably providing better overlays. And, when we can, I'd like to pay my players for their time in the game. I feel like that's a very good incentive for them to do more for the channel. The next big thing I want to do is I really want to bring board games more onto the channel. I recently did a review, and while it was fun to do, the board game itself wasn't very interesting, I have to admit, and it was very shoddily shot, I really want to portray the act of like going into a store, getting a board game, and showing it off in a much more uh, like glammed up version, like having a camera rotating around a table, that kind of stuff. Better looks at the pieces, better quality of information, overlays on the videos. I'd like to produce high quality board game reviews. So, you guys can obviously make a more informed decision, but also for people who may not be into board games, to make board games look way more interesting, to generate more interest in board games. As I feel like board games are one of those things that they do pretty well, honestly, but not as well as it could be doing. And I think a lot of people could benefit from looking at board games from a much more cinematic view. So, as you can tell, a lot of what we're doing is trying to improve the overall quality and cinematic value of content. And to be fair, like even the builds are not going to be solely like for serious characters. It's also going to have silly characters and everything you like, and for more games in general. So for the board game aspects, a lot of what the funds are going to go to are for staging equipment, a table for viewing, cameras, lights, all that kind of stuff, plus just money for board games, since they tend to be a bit expensive, but more than anything, just to justify the time and effort put into it. So, one of the not necessarily easier ones, but one of the simpler ones that it just has higher price range because equipment is expensive. And last but not least, I would love to look into more TTRPG games at some point. I want to be able to play TTRPGs more often and review more games and kind of create a place where you can come for all things TTRPG. Like, I'd love to have a channel that has every known TTRPG like on it and reviewed and everything. And maybe even like an extra website catalog for all these kind of TTRPGs that are hard to find. So that one is obviously kind of end game, right? If we get enough funds for everything to a satisfactory value, it'll start going into this. And mostly because in order to do that kind of stuff, I need more time. I need more time on my hands, and I need people to actually play with me, so I need to be able to pay people to essentially play games with me in a way, with people that I know their play style and trusts. Because I know a lot of people are like, I'll play. You can't just play with anyone, especially when you're doing like some kind of production value thing. So, it's something where I would like to hire editors. Like, not only because I'm just not great at editing. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just not good at editing my videos. I'm trying to get better, of course, but in the end, it's a time issue. Editing, and the more intense the editing is, the more time it takes. And it's already difficult enough as is for me to play one game a week and try to get some review stuff out on it. So, the more time I don't have to spend on like editing and all that other kind of stuff, the more I can put into doing research, looking up and understanding games so that I can make content on them, reviews, and all that kind of stuff. So, a lot of this stuff, is not like I'm not gonna stop making content anytime soon. Obviously, the channel still needs to run. If I don't produce content, YouTube's just gonna bury the channel, and that's obviously something I don't want to happen. I'm sure that's something guys don't want to happen. So a lot of this is just gonna be done as it comes. As funds come in, as the channel does better, and more revenue is coming in, the more I can invest in the channel to make this kind of content that I 100% believe will bring value to TTRPGs. And so that is why the Patreon is so important. It's something that I've never felt comfortable asking for money because I just didn't know where that money would go. Honestly, it would just go to me, which is fine. Like, I need to live too, but I want to be able to produce something for you guys. So if many of these video ideas can be, purely supported by the Patreon, then whatever ad revenue I can get to support my own life, can be done there. Then, you guys are paying for what you want, and I'm just living off of the ad revenue from big corporations and not living off of your hard-earned dollars. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, something that I brings value to the channel and everything. So I'll try to be as transparent as possible. And just so you guys know, all the money I've earned up until this point, like last year, I earned like $1,600. It wasn't a ton of money. And a lot of that went to buying games for, to look at on the channel, or it went to like green screen. My green screen stuff, you guys can tell, has gotten better. That came with new lights, and I had to get like a new microphone at some point. And a lot of it also just goes to paying for my programs, like Adobe Suite stuff and all kinds of stuff. Just programs I know. I know there's cheaper options out there, but I know Adobe, and it's easier for me to edit that way. So I've been investing as much as I can already into the channel. But it's just not enough, unfortunately. And the channel is growing, but not at a significant enough rate where I can feel confident that the ad revenue will pay for all this stuff I would like to bring. So that's, why the Patreon is important. I will have a link to the Patreon in the description below. And this video will also be on the Patreon as well for people who want to know and don't want to read what the Patreon is about. But more than anything, I want to make sure you guys know that I'm dedicating all this to the betterment of TTRPGs. It's something I'm very passionate about. I want more people to know about the magic of tabletop gaming, and I want more companies to have more money to make better games. I want to play better TTRPGs. There's a few out there that I really like, but man, there's so much untapped potential out there. And this is the only way I can really see on doing that, which is creating hype through higher quality content about things that players want, about character builds, about, live plays that can be clipped and memed on and all kinds of stuff. About board games to inspire people to gather up and play with their friends, in their houses. It's something that means a lot to me personally, and so all this is working towards that goal, and I'm asking for help because I cannot do it alone. And it's plain and simple. So, now you know. Sorry the video was a little bit long, but I wanted to properly explain everything to you guys. So, if you do decide to support the channel, however you do, whether it's a membership through Patreon or even just subscribing to the channel, like I said earlier, I want you to know where it's going. And it's as simple as that. Anyway, good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. And I will have some proof of concept videos coming here pretty soon. As I got the idea recently, and so I'm reworking like a build I'm working on. So hopefully I'll be able to show at least some glimpse of what I'm talking about so that people can invest and make better content. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Bye.